G'day fellas, welcome to a video where we're going to be taking a look at all the Fortress Age federal states. So those are all the states that you're going to be having the option to join your state or join your union once you go from the second age up to the third age. So let's take a look at those. We'll open it up. We've just turned some cheats on, so it's just at the beginning of the game. We'll pause it. So you've got 5 states that you can choose from. You've got Indiana, New Hampshire, Maryland, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So each of these age ups all cost the exact same, so they've all got the same coin cost, the same food cost, so nothing different like with Delaware in the first to second age. There's 3 different options, so you've got that immediate tangible age up bonus. So you've got the 5 regulars between Indiana and New Hampshire. You've got the 4 sharpshooters with the Tennessee and Kentucky, and then you've got Maryland, which has got 1 sloop. So the sharpshooter is a skirmisher unit, the regular a musketeer unit, and the sloop is basically a caravel. So those are all your immediate gains once you age up. Then once you've aged up to the third age, you're also going to get access to 2 federal cards, depending on which state you elect to go with. I don't know if elect is the right word, but whichever state joins your union, probably the best way to say it. So we're going to take a look at those. I'm going to give you just some thoughts on them and tell you how I feel about them. We might do it just starting off with Maryland, and then we'll work our way to Tennessee, then Kentucky, then Indiana, then New Hampshire. So if there's one state in particular that you'd like to hear my thoughts about, then I'm going to leave timestamps at the bottom of the video down in the description. So if you'd like to go and see it for a specific state, you can go do that. So starting with Maryland, obviously a sloop is quite nice, especially for those water maps. You wouldn't be taking this on a land map, or if you were, you'd be a little bit strange because both of the federal cards that they've got are for water. So we've got Annapolis Naval Academy. So it enables Minutemen to be called from docks. Minutemen garrisoned in warship improve the ship's default attack range damage, or range attack damage, by 10% each. So that's up to a maximum of 6 Minutemen per ship. So if you think about this, right, you could have like 2 or 3 frigates. Each of them has 6 Minutemen inside. Each of them is getting 60% damage. That's massive. That is so big. That is so freaking huge. Now, it doesn't affect broadside abilities. It doesn't affect your... so if you've got an ironclad, it doesn't affect the ability, the snipe ability that they get. It only affects the ranged attack damage. So that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, you'd want to be very careful with this. In the event that like a ship is going to go down, so you'd really want to micro, just because when it comes to Minutemen can only be called every 160 seconds, but this is a great use of Minutemen, especially it enables Minutemen to be called from docks. So if you're playing on a map like Malaysia or a map like Baja California, and you put a dock on the enemy side and then they send a couple pikemen to go and kill your dock, you can call Minutemen from the dock. Very, very cool. I like that a lot. Let's take a look at the second card, see what that does. So we've got Chesapeake Oyster Pirates. So enables sloops and steamers to gather coin exceptionally quicker from fish and somewhat faster from whales. So you heard that right. So coin from fish. So that's your sloops and that's your steamer. The steamer is like a galleon unit. It's going to enable you to gather coin from that much faster and somewhat faster from whales. So very sort of like niche thing, but it gathers at the rate of 2 coin per second, so pretty bloody quick from fish. And then it's only a 25% buff for whales, so it takes you from or actually, sorry, I take that back. I think it's a 50% buff. It takes you from 0.5 a second up to 0.75, so a pretty big buff for that, but it only affects sloop and steamers, not fishing boats, so very niche use. So let's move on to Tennessee now. So Tennessee, obviously you get the sharpshooters to go up with. You've got over mountain settlers, so greatly improves settlers in ranged combat and makes natural resources last longer. So it's a fair bit that it ups the natural resources by. I think it's a 1.25. So it's for everything. It's for hunted animals, herded animals, the trees, coin mines, absolutely everything. And then also gives them a whole bunch of attack as well. So I don't know when I would be taking this, because typically I'd be probably shipping something else. But like if I'm under attack from my opponent and they're pushing in and I'm aging up, and you know, it's something that you're going to need a lot of foresight to be really doing this. Like, I'm sure that there are going to be strategies that develop, like, you know, a Spanish player is coming in with this fast fortress and he's got a whole bunch of, I don't know, pikemen and falconets, and then you got Tennessee and you ship over mountain settlers, and somehow you're managing to hold just because your settlers have got extra damage. So that could be something, but look, it's not something that I really take a lot. And then we've got Watauga Association. So ships 2 outpost wagons. All existing and newly constructed outposts spawn 2 state militia and support 5 population. So for me, if I'm playing treaty, this is what I'm probably going to be going for. So all existing and newly constructed outposts spawn 2 state militia. So it just kind of like, if you're doing that treaty push, You get those 2 extra outposts, or you get those outposts down, and then they're spawning 2 extra state militia. So you've like constantly got reinforcing state militia as you're building more outposts, and you are going to be building a lot of outposts in treaty. So that's definitely something to think about, especially with the state capital and the way that the mechanics work with the wagons. So especially strong for Tennessee in treaty, but in supremacy, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's really got that much oomph. I'm sure that you could probably find a strategy for it, but yeah, not a big fan of this one. So the next one is Kentucky. So Kentucky is quite an interesting one. I do like the mechanics of this. So the first option is Kentucky coalfields. So it ships 1 coal prospector wagon, which can open a coal mine that's gathered twice as fast than other mines. So basically, imagine like a normal coin mine, 2,000 coin. It's the exact same thing, but it's gathered twice as fast. So you get like your settler wagons on that bad boy. They're going to be gathering at like, I think, what is it, 2.4 coin per second. That's like the base rate. So it gets ridiculous really quickly. So it's basically like a 2,000 coin shipment, but yeah, really cool. It's infinite as well, so something to note. But you know, the main attraction for me for Kentucky is this card, Kentucky Hunters. So it ships 2 sharpshooters for each shipment you've sent so far that game. So if you've shipped like 10 shipments, which is definitely possible, you can send this and you can get 20 sharpshooters for 500 coin. That's a lot of sharpshooters. These guys are like Cazadors on crack. So you know, that's an insane shipment. Also increases the range of Alhoot. So Alhoot is the newly renamed Outlaw. So the Renegado, I think it was, the long range one that's got the rifle, you know, the real annoying one, that one. That's what the Alhoot is now. So that's something to think about as well. The next up is Indiana. So this is probably one of my, it's my second favorite compared to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is the king for me. But Indiana. So Indiana's got 5 regulars, so they are the musketeer unit that you've got, the slightly longer range on them. Not a bad age up at all. So the first card, Indiana Mammoth Improvement Act. Advancing to the next age is much cheaper, but takes significantly longer. So the age up time is increased by 350%. So that is a decent chunk of time. So what's a standard age up time? Like maybe a minute 30? So 90 seconds, so increasing that by 350%, that takes it like what, 90, so 270 would be, oh god, 90, so 270, and then plus another 50% on that, so you're adding like, what is it, 335 seconds onto that, so that's like 5, how many minutes is that? What, that's gonna be like close to 6 minutes on top of that. So it's basically like an 8-minute age up, but you do it for free. Now, just keep in mind, that's going to be queued up in your town center. Like you could just age up to the fortress age, send this card straight away, and then start aging up to industrial. But if you do that, your TC is going to be idle for all that time. That's like 8 or 9 minutes of idle time. So I'm thinking like, if you want to do this, it might make sense to like ship it as like your first or your second card up to fortress age, but then you got to get like a second town center down to do it in, because that's a really long time. Imagine if you lose your town center while you're going up to industrial age with that, and it's like 8 minutes. Man, that would kill me, man. Like if it was just like an inch away, like a tiny little bit away, God, that would tilt you off the face of the earth. Anyway, next card, very similar to the Kentucky Hunters card. So we've got Indiana Mobilization, ships an additional carbine cavalry for each shipment you've sent so far this game. All units and technologies train and research slightly faster. So 2 components to that. The first one is the carbine cavalry for each shipment that you've sent so far. So if you've sent 10 shipments, you get 10 carbine cavalry, which are basically your dragoons. They're slightly weaker than dragoons. I'd probably say not as good as dragoons, definitely. They've got 2 shots. So it's a little bit harder to micro them. And then the second component is all units and technologies train and research slightly faster. So I'm not sure exactly what the percentage is, but it's only slightly. So I'd imagine maybe 5 or 10%. Not a huge thing, but definitely a cool card. Now my favorite is New Hampshire. So let's talk about New Hampshire. Why is it number 1? It's not for the French Canadian card, which is a very cool card. Ships 2 Napoleon guns, enables Napoleon guns to be hired at the saloon. So Napoleon gun, think of it as a light, or a leather cannon that's a mercenary. That's essentially, oh, excuse me, I just had a random burp. Think of it as a leather cannon that's a mercenary. So it's got like double the stats, but it's like so expensive, 500 coin. I just don't like it. I don't think it's worth it. It gets destroyed by calves. It's just, you know, I send it. It just feels very underwhelming when you've got things like 3 Gatling guns in your deck. And to be honest, like I'd probably prefer 2 Gatling guns to 2 Napoleon guns. So there's that. But the main reason why New Hampshire is just the absolute king, in my opinion, is because you get the factory in age 3. Now, it's 1 factory, it can't create heavy cannons, and you can't get the upgrades for them to get the increased rate of trickle. But it's still a factory, and you know, it's equivalent to basically 2 banks. So this is like a 2-bank shipment. Also, once you do hit industrial age, then you've got your factory already sent. You can only ship 1 factory in industrial if you've got this. So you can't get 3 factories, even though technically you can have 3 factory cards in your deck. You can only ever have 2 factories at a time. So you've got, you know, I just think it's strong because, like, if you were to do the math, okay, I think it's 5.5 coin a second, food a second, or wood a second. So normally you're going to be going for wood or for coin. Typically, so that works out to be, so 5.5 wood is like 11 villages unupgraded. Once they're upgraded, it's doing like 0.8 a second, so it would be equivalent to 7 villages shipment. But keep in mind, they're not, it's unraidable. They're never going to idle. It is generating resources out of thin air, so it's not, if you're on coin, it's not going to exhaust your coin mine. It's basically, it's an insane shipment. Like, what would it be for coin? So 0.6 is the base gather rate for coin, so 0.6, so it'd be like a 9 settler shipment basically. And then if you've got amalgamation, which technically you're pretty much always going to get amalgamation with the United States just because of Hamiltonian economics. So that would be up to like 30%, so 0.8 would be your base on that. And then, so yeah, maybe like a 7 villager shipment with a factory. So look, I think this is hands down just the best shipment. I don't think that you can nerf it. I think the best thing to probably do is just lift the viability of the other ones. So maybe make it like for Indiana Mammoth Improvement Act, make it so that your town center, it can age up, like it does the 350% research time, but it can also train settlers at the same time. That might make it a little bit more viable, kind of like with the native trade posts. You know how native trade posts can kind of do that, where they can like train units and research, so that might make that viable. I think Kentucky's already pretty good. You can definitely build strategies around it. Probably going to have to buff the sharpshooter separately. And then Tennessee, I guess it's got its place, but maybe make Over Mountain Settlers send faster, kind of like the Minutemen card in Age 2, and make it send like in 5 seconds or something like that. That way you can just like age up and instantly send it. Like that'd be pretty cool. And then for Maryland, that's obviously a water-based one, so definitely going to be doing some strategies around that if you're playing water. But other than that, fellas, look, that's been our basic look at the Fortress Age Federal States. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you have, I encourage you to give a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, I encourage you to subscribe, because we're going to have plenty more content coming out for Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, for the United States, and for Age of Empires 4. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.